So good morning. I'll begin by introducing myself, Inspector Adam McIntosh, spelled MAC-INTOSH, and I'm the Operations Officer here at Kelowna City Detachment. And I'm here to speak about an event this morning that occurred just before 7 a.m. around the 800 block of Academy Way in Kelowna. We received a third-party report of an incident occurring, an assault between a man and a woman. The information suggested the person may be in possession of a firearm, and they were inside a residence. Given the nature of the call, we immediately dispatched several members to the area and began to lock down that location, evacuate people, establish a containment, and put a public school that was in that area also into lockdown for the purposes of ensuring the safety of the public. Through that, we deployed our critical incident program out of the Southeast District, which includes our crisis negotiators and our emergency response team, along with the general duty uniformed members of Kelowna Detachment. In doing so, we were able to establish, through a loud hailer, communications with the male suspect inside the residence, along with the female person who was also inside. Through negotiations with our crisis negotiating team, the individual surrendered and came out peacefully without any incident and was placed into custody, and the female was also taken into our care and is currently being supported by our members and our victim services. The subject remains in custody. The area was released, meaning people could go back to their homes, and the roads and so forth were opened again. And we are currently in the process of applying for a search warrant to search the residence for firearms as a part of the ongoing investigation. The male has not been charged yet with any crime. However, the investigation continues. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
There were a couple students on scene that did mention they had heard potentially the individual had a gun. You weren't able to locate the gun at that time?
So there was nothing observed by police officers, no firearm physically observed, but we have to go based on the information that we received. And as a part of that, they are obviously going to make sure that there's nothing in the residence on initial search or walkthrough to make sure there's no other persons inside. No firearm has yet been recovered. That doesn't mean that there isn't one, and that's why we're applying now for a search warrant to be able to do a more thorough search of the residence for that purpose.
How serious are the victim's injuries?
My understanding is they're not serious. We would define this as a common assault.
Do the victim and the suspect know each other?
Yes, I believe they're in some level of a relationship. Exactly what that is, I'm not sure. We commonly refer to these as a domestic situation, so that's how it's being treated, as a violence in a relationship.
You said the arrest, he came out peacefully. Can you just talk us how the steps of going through something like this incident where someone you believe is armed and he's inside and you can't really get good access to him? Can you walk us through that process?
Absolutely. The objective is always public safety and officer safety, and then the safety of the individuals who are involved, whether it's a suspect or a hostage or a victim. And so what we want to do is communicate verbally with them. In this case, it was through a loud hailer, and I believe the individual was talking back over two balconies. And once the person, through negotiation, agrees to come out, usually it's a set of instructions, and they would be somewhat common sense. We'd like you to come out this specific door. We'd like you to have your hands in the air. Please don't have things in your hands, these types of things. So if the person's talking on a phone, put the phone down, that sort of thing. It's my understanding that's exactly how it played out. What that does is it increases the insurance that everyone understands what's going to happen and a person can be arrested safely, and our emergency response team was able to do that very effectively today.
So just to confirm, the victim and the suspect were both inside the building once police arrived?
Yes, my understanding is they were both inside an apartment, which was the subject of what it was we were responding to, and both did come out as a part of the negotiation with the negotiating team.
You said no criminal charges have been laid so far, but what charges could he be facing?
Well, possibly assault and if he's in possession of a firearm and that firearm is illegal to possess, or he did in fact use that firearm in any way, such as pointing it or things like that, he could potentially face charges in relation to those. But that's not yet known, and that's a part of what we're trying to determine through our investigation.
A couple of people had sent in some photos and some videos of a robotic looking thing on the ground that kind of was surrounding the building. Can you maybe just go into detail about what that would be and how that would help RCMP in the situation?
So as a part of our critical incident program, in utilizing ERT, or emergency response team, there's a lot of tools that they have. What we try to do is obviously mitigate direct contact and putting our officers in harm's way, especially when we're dealing with firearms. The longer the distance, the type of firearm, and so forth. And so there is a lot of technology. Robotics can be one of them. However, the specifics of what we're using and in what context, we prefer to leave that as a part of our process of how we help to end these events peacefully.
Can you tell me how important it is for the quick response team to head to a situation like this? You know, typically, we'll see 1 or 2 cop cars, but today, this morning, there's like 6, 7, plus the quick response team and the SWAT. Can you tell me why it's important to send this team to an incident like this?
So I'll begin with, first of all, our frontline resources are vital to public safety and community confidence in being able to support emergency events. And so we have a number of officers throughout the city on duty 24 hours, 7 days a week. And so when you have these types of calls, we can provide a number of police cars and marked police cars and uniformed police officers to an area very quickly, which occurs. Our emergency response team is based out of our Southeast District headquarters, which actually is not very far from that particular location. And they're on and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to respond, and so they were able to immediately respond. And our critical incident program is designed to link into our frontline police resources effectively and quickly, and today was an excellent example of being able to establish containment, evacuate those at risk, lock down those that can't safely be evacuated, and resolve the situation through negotiation. Awesome.
No further questions.
I have actually, I don't know if you would have the answer to this, but we wanted to ask about the police incident at West Kelowna yesterday afternoon at the Super 8 Motel there. It's the temporary housing there, so we just looking for information. Not sure if you would have that on.
I personally can't answer
Okay.
that. I wasn't involved, but I don't know if
I
Jocelyn...
sent a request just to get the full outline of what happened there, and I haven't heard back from them yet. So
Okay.
once I do, I'll let you know.
While we have you, are you able to comment on the deceased victim in Rutland on Sunday morning, if that is indeed a homicide, or?
We're waiting right now for the results of the medical exams and those tests to come back to make that determination. So at this point, it's still listed as a suspicious death. We can't categorize it further at this point.